today on Something to Talk About, some special guests to talk about some of the events that are going to be happening in the future, but a specific event happening for December, engaging our World War II survivors on Guam. That's ahead on Something to Talk About. Welcome to Something to Talk About, and thank you for allowing us into your homes today. I've got, of course, a couple of guests, and when they pair up like this, you know what the topic is going to be. We're talking unseasonally. We're talking about Menengan and the foundation. Rosanna Uggan and Senator Regine Biscoli. I almost didn't call you Senator.
That's okay.
I know it is. I know it is. But we're here with a fantastic breakfast here at King's Inn Tamuning, and it's just not the season, right?
Not really,
Yeah.
but I feel like it's always a good time to honor our Menengan and to have the conversation about that. So, you know, Rosanna and I are really excited to be a part of this again and to just continue the good work of the foundation that's been laid. The foundation began in 1999, and you're right, a big part of what we do is, of course, the Menengan Memorial events around liberation, right?
Yeah.
And so that's typically what people think of when they hear about the foundation. But this year, we're super active. We really want to ramp up. We're ramping up to our 75th anniversary, which will be in 2 years. And we just really realized, Patty, especially with the holidays coming around, that, you know, every year, less and less of our survivors are here to celebrate with us. So every opportunity that we have to engage them and to just thank them for all of the things that they've been through is great for us. So we're here to talk a little bit about that.
Let's talk, before we get to the actual events, let's talk about just the foundation and how it was established. I mean, because it's obvious why it was established, but in actually having a foundation, you have now a better and concerted, coordinated, concentrated effort on and to pay attention to some of these survivors. Rosanna, you've, as a retiree now, you've been really active in the foundation, probably more than you ever had the time to be.
Yes.
Go ahead and eat, because I know that we all have to go somewhere. Yeah. Go ahead.
And so I've never, in the past, I've never really had with working. I was always off island in July and did a lot of traveling as well as managing an office, and so didn't have the time to go out and to see all the different sites and experience liberation. And when the Menengan first had their march, both my parents did the march, the very first march, and I didn't. I thought, I'll do it another year.
Did you feel like you were too young, or it was just their thing?
I was busy at that time, and they wanted to, and so I just thought I could, catch it another year. And lo and behold, I think they did the march the year before my dad died. So I don't have that experience with him anymore. Right. And just didn't, get into it. And so this year, after retiring, my family does what prompted me was my family does the Christmas display for the Friary. And so my relatives who are part of Menengan, the foundation, were very instrumental in helping us to build the display. Right. And they dedicated it to Menengan. And so that's how I started. I said, okay, I will help you. And so it basically started as giving back, but it's been such a rewarding and enlightening experience, and regretting that I didn't experience a whole lot sooner. Yeah. And so,
but now you're super involved.
Now I'm involved.
You're making up for lost time.
I sure am. It's hearing the Manunkos, and seeing their response.
And your mom, Auntie Julia, is still with us.
Well, I gotta tell this. I mean, I gotta have you tell this story, and I'll give you an opportunity to talk about your own personal, motivations. But Rosanna's mother is, how old is she? Tell everybody her name first of all, so we know.
My mother's name is Julia Villagomez, and she is 79 years old. She will be 80 next month.
Wow. Amazing.
So, a very, very active woman.
Yeah.
And so she's been our advisor as well with Menangan.
Now, have you ever had an opportunity to share stories with either your mom or your father about surviving?
My dad didn't like talking about the war. All he talked about was he talked about helping to the child labor build the Tizen, the airfield. He talked about that. He talked about being in Japanese school. He would sometimes, mention, count off in Japanese some things that he learned, but he never talked about the war. And I would find very little information when he would mention things, and then I'd learn things later on about it. And so, for example, I learned, because he said something about just our neighbors to Northern Mariana Islands, and made reference to that. And then I found out that I learned, which I didn't know, that the Japanese had used some of the Northern Mariana Islands, the people from Saipan, as interpreters.
Right.
And my grandmother, because I had an uncle, one of his brothers in the military at that time, he used to visit my grandmother and question her, and it would be an interpreter.
Oh, really?
So I didn't know about that. And I knew there was some, in terms of feelings, amongst the war. But I didn't know it was also at a personal level. And then my mom, my great-grandfather, was American. So he was one of the prisoners of war in a concentration camp in Japan. And so being half American, my mother would just talk about being slapped by the Japanese, but she was young, 4 years old to 8 in the war. My dad was like 7 to 11, so they were very young.
Yeah, they were very young.
So,
but it isn't that they couldn't recall. It's sort of stuffed. Right?
yes,
Would
and
you
I
think?
For
think
your
so.
dad.
Yeah.
As well as for my mom, because my mom's younger sister would say, "Don't you remember this? And don't you remember that?" And she'd say, "No."
Maybe it's
And
repressed, yeah.
And that's what I
Yeah.
think. Sometimes I tell her, I think she's got selective amnesia. It's just
Yeah.
something that
But
she
isn't
just
it
doesn't
interesting?
remember.
We both grew up in the same, generation. Rosanna and I went to high school a year apart, granted, but at that time, there was never a conversation about. It never even came to my mind to ask my grandparents or even my parents, being so young as well, anything about it. It was not something that I grew up caring about. And I hate to say it like that because it sounds so
That's
crass, but it
absolutely
just
true. Even this generation,
Yeah.
there's a lot of people who don't know.
yeah, so and so now we fast forward to this generation, your generation, that's really taking, the helm. Is it because, like you said, fewer and fewer survivors are available still?
Well, I think a lot of it too is our manamku, or some of them are really starting to open up a little bit more and to see, some of their peers and their friends and family, they're not here anymore. So they realize that if they don't tell their stories, it might die with them. And so I feel like my grandmother was the same way. She did not want to talk about anything about the war, and maybe it was just because she thought we were too young to really understand. But now, we're adults and we have this opportunity. And just a few months ago, I was able to sit down with her, and there's this really cool app on a phone that people can download. It's called StoryCorps, and it's available through NPR and other things. But you can sit down and create an interview, and then just sit down with somebody and record it and ask your interview questions. And at first, you could tell she was so annoyed, like, "Oh, okay, are we done yet? I have to go make something, I have to go pick something up."
Yeah.
She's really distracted. And then she kind of started getting really into it. And wow, I'm telling you, Patty, it was so eye-opening to see her really disclose things and talk about things. And it was a pretty short interview, maybe 20 minutes. But I had heard things from her that I had never heard before, and I shared it with even my cousins and her children, and they had never heard her say these things.
Yeah.
And now it feels like I came upon a gold mine. This is a gold for our family because she told her story, and now we know all these things. And some of it's related to the war, and some of it's just related to kind of growing up in that period and how she was separated from her parents during the war.
Right.
And so, wow, it's just fascinating. But for a lot of people in our generation, I feel like some of them for the first time participated in the walk to Menangan. And just so people know, we're talking about concentration camps that were inhabited or people were brought there, different places around the island during World War II. And so people from my generation participated in the walk this time, and
It sounds like there's more of us wanting to find the connection.
it's tremendous.
I mean, this is a part of our history that
Right.
we didn't pay attention to because we honestly were disinterested in it.
Right.
But as much as we are going through this renaissance in our culture, I think that a lot of people need to go back to that memory to remember just, what we went through, as a people, what we went through. And to fully understand, what's before us.
Right, and to also just appreciate this moment that we have now, this
Yeah.
peacetime moment for people to do the things that they want to do, and their families can go wherever on Guam that they want to go or travel, things like that. You couldn't do that during the war.
Yeah, I want to continue that part of the conversation because we're also now kind of in storytelling mode, and it's because of the war claims.
Right.
People are trying to file for war claims, and they're going to have to be forced to pull up these memories in order to put them on paper and have them documented by the federal government. So I'm sure that that's a challenge. We'll talk about that. And I know you've got a Christmas event that's coming up. That's the fun part. I like to watch them. I like to watch them get excited about this stuff when people throw things for them. We're talking to Rosanna Uggan and Senator Regine Bisco-Lee, and we're talking about Menengan in December. Imagine that. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Bright and early, here we are at King's Restaurant, and having this conversation about Menengan. I was joking about Menengan during Christmas because we normally talk about the war during the anniversary of the liberation. So we're talking about this now, and I wanted to just close out the part of the conversation about the war claims, and that people who are filing for these claims are having to take the time to remember, because these events have to be documented. And I'm just wondering what kind of struggle. I don't know if you've heard any rumblings of the kind of struggles that our Manamco have because they have to recall a lot of this.
I think it's taking some people a little bit more time than others. Some people have already kind of shared these things with their friends and their family members, so it's not that big of a deal for them. But, unpacking some of these things, it's heavy duty. It's heavy duty stuff.
Well, as much as we could take their minds off of it, the foundation tries. It sounds like you guys are planning events that now all throughout the year. Is that the idea now?
Well, this one in particular. So again, we're ramping up to our 75th anniversary at Menengan, and so we wanted to be able to contribute and build a little bit more for that memorial park down there and raise some money. So in addition to that, we also want to make sure that we're keeping our sole focus and our mission to really honor our Manamco and honor those survivors. So one event that we decided that we wanted to do, and we are already getting so much support for, is a Christmas event. And so we wanted, a lot of the times when Manamco were talking about their experience in Menengan, one of the things that they brought up is like, you know what, we were robbed. We were robbed for several years. Well, in the concentration camp, we didn't have the holidays. We didn't have Christmas. And so, and a lot of these people were children at that time, and Christmas is all about kids. So we're kind of going back there, and the theme for this event is Christmas is
Not forgotten. Christmas is not forgotten.
That's so nice.
Right, and it's going to be a dinner. We're going to have dinner at the Leo Palace Resort, not far away from Menengan.
Right.
And it's going to be December 19th.
Okay.
Yeah, in the evening time. And so we want to invite the community to come out. We have a lot more information about this event on Facebook. Or you can also call my office. It's 472-3455 for additional information. And to Rosanna, did you want to just maybe
Expound
share?
on the event.
Yes.
Christmas
we're
is
gonna
not
do.
forgotten. How clever. I like that.
And so it's Christmas is not forgotten. The Leo Palace Tuesday. Unfortunately, it's a Tuesday evening, December 19th, and it'll start at 6 o'clock. And so the whole intent is to have Denanya, for everybody to get together and have some dining and entertainment, and it's going to be geared towards our Manamco survivors. And so we will be having some local entertainment, as well as we're planning some things so that it can be inclusive of them. You know, they can dance the batsu or, you know, sing Christmas carols. You know, something that'll be all
They
encompassing.
like that stuff.
Oh, yes.
And some of the entertainment is we're really going to try to do a lot of period music
Yeah.
and kind of bring them back, and you know, just a real time for them to celebrate. And so that's really what this is about.
Are they largely supported by their families, or are you finding that there might be survivors who have family members that are not necessarily interested in what their parents are doing?
Well, at this point in time, what we're trying to do is get the word out.
Yeah.
And so we have even distributed flyers to the senior citizen centers. And we've informed the senior citizen centers if there are any Manam crews that aren't. We're going to be having, we had a couple ticket sales last week, November 15, at Agani Shopping Center in GPO. We're also doing another ticket, selling of tickets at GPO this Saturday, the 25th. From 12 until 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. at GPO. And so, but we've informed the senior citizen centers, and as well as our Manamkos elsewhere, that if they want tickets and they're not able to get there, to just call our contact information, and we would be happy to go and meet with them.
Okay.
And to be able to
Help support them on that way.
support them
And
on
we
that,
also have
yeah.
a special price for them.
Yes.
Oh,
it's
good.
$25 for World War II, our World War II survivors, so they have to be able to have that discounted rate, and it's $50 for the general audience, everyone else.
And how do you determine who's a World War II survivor? It's not, you just sort of
honor system.
It's honor system. You're not going to ask them any questions detailing anything that happened during that time. How many are there left? Do you have like a running number?
You
That
know,
is a great question.
we try when we do the Menengan ceremonies. We always have them register. So there is a log that the foundation keeps. I actually haven't gone through it to count how many we've had registered, and that's just those who show for the ceremony.
particular event.
Because there's so many more who don't necessarily
Yeah, I
show
mean,
up.
it's difficult to kind of, especially to participate in the march down there.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of them are just bussed in, and then, but
Right.
even to just sit out there in the heat and all the elements.
That it's always just this real reflective moment, I think, that you guys have
somber.
when you're
Yeah.
down there. It's like it's kind of chilling, isn't it?
It's like sacred ground.
Yeah.
Really.
It's when you go down there. It's a beautiful place. A neighbor upkeeps the place. It's so their commitment towards that. But when we did our site visit before my first visit down there, it was very. You could just feel.
You could feel it.
Like you could feel
That's
it.
something-
Do they also get that feeling? I mean, the survivors who revisit the camp, is the feeling the same every time they go?
I don't think so. I feel like they have, different emotions every time. But one thing that a majority of survivors have shared, at least with me, is just they really feel a deep sense of gratitude going there. And every year, they're just like, I really hope I'm able to make it next year. That's their prayer.
How is that area protected?
It's pretty
it-
deep in, so
yeah.
it's you can't just kind of stumble upon it along the main road. You have to
Right.
really make the
You have to know
intention
where
to
you're.
go
You have to know. But
Right.
are there any provisions in place, or is there any maybe not laws or something in legislation? I don't know. Is there anything to protect that area just for the sake of its?
I think it might be like a national or a recognized site.
Yeah.
But there's also access before you get to the main foundation area. There's an open kind of river area where there's a rope swing and people kind of swim there, and so we want to make sure that continues to be
Yeah.
open to the public. But yeah, it's really nice.
Nobody goes down there and dumps trash
Nope.
or
No.
defaces
And you
it
know
or
what?
anything.
Also, the Jordan mayor has been tremendous. Every single
Yes.
mayor of
Takes it
that
on.
site has, that's a very special place in their village. They recognize, the sacredness.
stewardship, yeah.
Yes, and they really take it a good care of it. And
Well, all of the events that you guys are planning and all of the efforts that you're making require some kind of funding, doesn't it? How do you get your money?
I'm telling you, there have been tremendous supporters in the community that always
Really?
come out.
So you
Yeah,
don't have
we
any
also
problems?
have we also have a number of construction companies and just companies that have been with us throughout the years and continue to support us. And so we want to thank them. We want to thank the original members, and I'm just going to read them off just
Okay.
so we don't forget. So again, the Menengue Memorial Foundation was started in 1999. The sole purpose was really to develop this memorial park in Menengue Valley, where the camp was, and to just continue to ensure that we don't forget what happened there. So the founding members are the late Mayor Ben Bernardo, the late Speaker Tony Impinko, the late Tony Palomo, late Agana Heights Commissioners Juan Garci, the late Marian Taitino, Rita Franquez, who's still around, and to Jerry Gutierrez, and Senator Willie Flores, who is our president, the president of the foundation.
Okay.
We have about 20 active members in the foundation as it stands, and these people are super active, like Auntie Rosanna. We have a number of people that are really super committed, but we want to invite anybody who would like to join us in planning these events and really honoring our Manamku in this way to please come join us. Again, we're on Facebook, and we have a number of other ways that they can reach out to us.
We have an email address. It's menengan@gmail.com as well.
What's the event after this? Do you have something else planned? Something bridging between now and July?
No, so we're really ramping up for July, and that'll
Okay.
be our 74th anniversary. And then we're, getting
Then you're going to build up more
a
momentum
really
for the
big one. Yeah,
Yeah.
so we're planning on doing something really, really special for the 75th, and we'll come back and talk to you about
Well,
that.
of course you will. The event again is December 19th at the Leo Palace, which is next to Menengan.
Yes.
And it's $25 for dinner, period music, dancing. Bring your family members and rally around those who had no Christmas in those years.
Right, we're gonna make up for
right.
all of those Christmases lost in this one awesome
The
event.
event, yes.
It's a party.
And
It's a party.
If I can, it's $25 for World War II survivors,
Okay,
for the
right,
survivors,
right,
and $50 for everyone else.
And it's dinner and dancing.
Yes,
And we
yes.
can't, and it's a
Yes.
festive season.
Yes.
Thank you so much,
Thank
you guys,
you.
for
Happy
coming.
Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
Thanksgiving, yes.
Happy holidays and season's blessings. And I'm
Yes.
sure that we'll see you sooner than later.
Yes.
That's it for something to talk about. We'll see you on the radio. Thank you.
Yes.